Oh hey Kpop Stans, welcome to this video, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. As usual, I'm so happy and excited to annoy you with my rants, essays, and opinions. Today's video was originally planned for December. It sounded more logic to me since it's the last month of the year, but recently I reached a breaking point, being genuinely living Purple Kiss. And then I came to the conclusion that whatever happens in December, it couldn't be worse than what's happening right now. And Jesus Christ, I hope that what I'm saying isn't going to age like milk. There's only 1 month left. What could break my heart even more than what's currently happening, right? So in today's video, I'm going to rant about why that 2022 year was complete garbage. A bag of shite and a mistake that almost made me give up on K-pop. So without further ado, let us start. If you know me well, you know it all started from the moment GFriend suddenly disbanded without any explanation. And we didn't even get an ounce of recognition from HYBE stans when it comes to the girls literally building the source music shit company and making a name out of it. But I mean, business is business, I guess. And I agree to deal with the fact that GFriend was used and thrown in a trash can like garbage, but it didn't stop there, because everything I just told you only happened in 2021, and it's already a lot. Because 2022 showed me a different side of HYBE that disappointed me at the highest point. It simply showed me that they aren't made to manage girl groups. I'm talking about how they managed the Garam situation, for example. That first started good, and though I hate HYBE, I even recognized in my Instagram story that they were doing a great job protecting their artists no matter what. And like some people that only read the big titles and being like, Kim Garam is a bully and a fucking bitch, I actually ran into reading the actual story before judging. I linked some videos that went deep dive into the Kim Garam issues if you don't know about it. I was among these people that were defending her against people who send hate to a literal child and putting my hopes into HYBE being like, I know how they handle stuff. I hate them for what they did to GFriend, but they aren't going to give up on her that easily. Right? Obviously, HYBE being HYBE, they ended their contract with her, giving up all will to defend their artist. But if only it stopped there. HYBE was shite this year when it comes to promote their groups. I mean their groups when it's not BTS. And even when I'm saying BTS, I'm talking about them as a group. Because even from the members individually, it's another story. They cannot properly do what we call promoting. To name some examples, we got New Jeans' surprise debut that could have been handled better. Like, how about hyping people up before that surprise debut? Like, we have a new girl group coming and these girls are fire and extremely talented. But no, they just dropped it like boom, new girl group. At the same damn time, Le Seraphim were picking up pieces of the scandal of their member being dropped, which you guess is extremely counterproductive. Then we got that J-Hope solo that didn't have any physical release. What the fuck was HYBE thinking at that moment, I swear to God? Jack in the Box that literally could have hyped the fans more didn't have any physical release. I don't even know what to say at this point. But well, then we got Jungkook's feature with Charlie Puth that had a practically an existential promotion. Like these two, Jungkook and J-Hope are lucky to have such a powerful and loyal fandom. Otherwise, I don't even know. And then we have TXT being underestimated for their tour, but we'll talk about it in another point. Another thing, they disbanded New East as well. I swear I'm so done. But unlike the GFriend disbandment, everyone wasn't that much surprised, because when you see how they were treated, we only waited for the day the news was going to be released. Like even Aaron, GR, and Ren, the members who left HYBE right after this disbandment, looked like it was a part of their own decision to go in separate ways because they were done with that mistreatment. And since I'm grabbing the topic of New East, there was some complaints from the fans that the last physical album they dropped and were purchased either was made in shitty material or arrived scratched. Yes, you've heard me well, scratched. Like, even on their last album, HYBE couldn't even fake to care about this group. That's so frustrating. And then we have BTS being rumored to still going to perform, even if at the same time they're going to serve at their military service. And yo, I really hope for HYBE that it's really a rumor, because what the fuck? This boy's already supposed to be on a hiatus. So if you're gonna add this, I actually wonder how and when they're going to rest. It's absolutely outrageous. I absolutely can't with that company anymore. Anyways, this year, HYBE just proved to me that they're just like any other company. Thirsty for money no matter what, giving some type of favoritism to some and leaving others in the dark until a disbandment. They really kept going lower and lower on my esteem. And for a company that has such a big name as BTS among them, I just find it too bad and disappointing. For this one, I'm half joking, and on the other half, I'm being dead serious. I recently realized that it's been more than a year that we didn't have any EXO comeback, despite their solo activities. If I knew when's, I could say that Chanyeol and Chen at least came back from their military service. But I just don't want to, because I don't want to ignore my main point. That being that we didn't have any EXO come back. You know, everything is wrong with this year when these boys don't drop anything as a group. That is just me expressing some nostalgia from the moment where they were active and together. And obviously I'm super happy about their solo projects, like Sehun and Dio being legendary actors, Suho thriving as a soloist as much as Chen and Xiumin, Kai and Lei being literal crazy performers, Baekhyun, though fulfilling his military service, still being active on Twitter, and finally I am impatiently waiting for Chanyeol's solo. But this year sure lacks something, and that something is called an EXO comeback. Like, even aunties know they never miss, and I'm very hungry for some EXO comeback. OT9 or whoever is up for the project of a comeback, as long as it's EXO. I will always be ready at this point. I would give everything. Also, another thing, but I feel like repeating myself compared to the first point. But SM is complete trash for taking them as granted and not promoting them properly in their solo projects. No comebacks from EXO is a contribution of how shitty this year was. That shit was crazy, and it made me realize that we should thank the good Lord that Omega X are surrounded by well-intentioned fans and that were ready to help, and actually helped. It sustains the idea that companies for the most ain't shit. And mind you that we still have no idea of what happens behind the scenes for most of our faves. That Omega X thing was just something that lowered my expectation from companies where my faves signed. I don't stand Omega X, but I don't need to feel outraged by everything I heard about them and their garbage company. Like, what the fuck was this? That ma'am, CEO, or whatever she was, clearly was only sorry because she got caught. I went into the shocking video of her mistreating a member of the group, talking to him like he was nothing, and continuing to do so despite him literally fainting. Like, girl, do you have any empathy? Like, at all? As a human being, seeing a fellow human falling into pieces, and that only encourages you to keep on? And mind you, that was only a snippet from what they must have endured every day. You guys, I was so mad. And that was just the beginning, because we've seen the videos, but still haven't heard about what the members actually endured. I'm talking mistreatment and sexual harassment. I'm not even courageous enough to go into details. I'll just link you some YouTube videos down below treating that topic more in depth. I just think it's unfair for the boys, because I've researched a little bit about them, and I see they saw that company like a second chance, because some of them came from a survival show where they failed, and just to be trapped like that at the end of it is just heartbreaking. And you'll tell me, like, what's new, huh? A company exploiting their idols. And that's what makes this year even more shitty, is that nothing is changing. And the more we discover about this industry, the darker it gets. And we're still going to hear the most unfortunate shit. And here comes the main villain bitch of this shit show that we had as a year. It's simply unbelievable the number of groups that started with a number of people, and the number of people ended up being diminished. Since my heart can't be any more broken, I'll just remind you a snippet and some examples. We got Mashido and Yedam from Treasure, Raven from Onus, Chan from Victon, Gyuri from Promise 9, Kim Garam from La Seraphim, Sujin from G Idol, and more recently Jiun from Publicus. It's like it was the unfortunate news of the moment. Once a month or once every 3 weeks at this point. You know, sometimes I was telling myself, ha, okay, who's next? As a joke. But it's not a joke anymore, and I hate it here. So who to blame? The fans, the company, the decision of the idol. But honestly, it's whatever to me at the end of it, because we got the same result. Compared to other years, the number of members leaving their groups was abnormally fucking high. Like, you can't make people suffer like this. I understand that being a K-pop stan is a battlefield, but like we say in Spanish, no puedo más. I'm getting enough, okay? 2022 was definitely a year to lose members, and I was definitely not here for it. It was not funny. We have kind of a melting pot for this one because there were several tours and several shows that turned into fiascos. We also have some cases that weren't complete fiascos but resulted in unfortunate events that led to a whole bunch of mess. I would just list events from the least to the most shocking to me. First, we have the TXT tour, and where apparently HYBE thought there were about 10 people who were going to show up. Like, the capacity of the places they decided to get the concert to take place in were too small for a group with that much success like TXT. But I don't know, I feel like HYBE didn't realize the bunch of talented people they were managing and practically considered them as flops. Many MOAs were upset for not getting a ticket due to shortage because obviously tickets sold out in just a few minutes. I'm repeating myself, but that was just another reason why HYBE was too disappointing to me this year. But overall, the tour didn't go bad compared to the cases we're about to address. Right after that, we have the boys' tour, and oh boy, where do I start? First of all, the dobies that went to that tour were deprived from Eric, one of the members during this tour, because he went on hiatus during this time. But the show must go on, so the boys continued without him, and they were exhausted to say the least. If they weren't going to say anything about them being exhausted, their body would do that for them, because at some point, Sanu, another member from the group, also went in a short hiatus from exhaustion. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I actually thought that was the beginning of the end. I expected some bad news to come up soon, either members leaving or the group disbanding eventually. But fortunately, the situation turned out fine. Then we got fans getting drugged with an unknown substance at Ateez's tour in Paris. That was the only time the tour took a weird turn. But overall, fortunately, the fans weren't harmed. What basically happened is that while the fans were enjoying the show, there were people that are still unknown to this day had the idea to inject something to a number of fans. And these same fans only realized it after the show and seeing a needle scar on their neck. Thank God they're out of danger today, and I hope that despite that, it won't harm their love for the boys from Ateez. And I also hope that the rest of the tour goes well. We sure don't need any unfortunate event like this one. Then finally, that NCT 127 concert that took place at Jakarta after the Itaewon tragedy. And just like the fans didn't learn anything from it, they started to mob on the crowd. You fans didn't learn shit from Astro World, didn't you? If you don't get the reference, it doesn't change anything because you must see the point I'm trying to make. I can't say I don't understand the euphoria of seeing your fave on stage, but Putting someone else's life in danger just for that should make you question yourself about your sanity. And no, I won't blame SM this time. Get a grip of yourself and behave. You shouldn't need some security to make you remember that politeness teaches to not push people. These tours I just took as an example were supposed to be a happy moment between the fans and their faves, but for numerous reasons, it didn't go as planned. And it's so unfortunate because it just ruins the fan experience. On a lighter note, that's mostly something that I would consider as personal and a phenomenon that mostly touches the fourth generation boy groups. Nah, let me justify myself before putting a dislike, okay? First of all, everything is subjective. Not everyone is going to love noise music, and certainly not me. See, the thing with noise music is that it's a risk. It's a risk because it's a kind of music that either you love to death or hate to your core. And I fall into the second category for most of the noise music that came out this year. Be mad and stay mad, but I'm never, mark my words, never going to get gaslighted into thinking that pass the mic is the bop. If you're offended, don't forget what I say on every intro. You have chosen to be annoyed by my rant. So be it. This year's K-pop noise music was a different kind of bad. And it's not like I didn't try. I never say I hate a song without at least listening to it 2 times to give it a chance to grow on me. But it never works. At least not this year. So noise music? You can do better than this. This year just wasn't it. See you next year. Pnation was the company everyone was worshipping for being the ideal company where artists had a certain artist freedom and place to shine. But it all started to feel blurry once we first saw Jessie losing her role as an MC for Show to View. And a little disclaimer here, that's not a reason I'm giving you to send hate to Sunmi. Yes, I'm sad that Jessie isn't a part of it anymore. But Sunmi is doing a great job as an MC here, and she's not responsible for that sudden change. And to quickly go back to Jessie, she revealed a little before her departure from the company that she used to fight with Psy, who's the main owner of that company, about the production of her songs or stuff like this. And it was a big clue for what was coming because Hyuna and Dawn didn't waste any time to follow her with terminating their contract with the company. We're not entirely sure of what happened, but the idea that we had of Pnation was surely crushed and erased. Lesson for this year is to not expect much from a company. You'll get high chances to be disappointed. I think some of the points I referred as before should give you a clue about the fact that the fourth generation being cursed is just a summary of all that. From companies giving shitty promotions, the members leaving their groups, fourth generation fandoms being one of the most toxic ever, and some groups being problematic. We really had the most this year. I came to the conclusion that this generation is just cursed. Like, we deadass couldn't spend 2 weeks without some scandal, and when we got a closer look to it, it was always, or most of the time, a fourth generation group in the middle of the discussion. The only thing we could do now is to hope for a better future, obviously. Better promotions, better behavior online, less problematic faves, and I beg, less members leaving their groups and less disbandment. Call me whatever you want for that, but you can't tell me that your fave going to serve isn't upsetting at some point. I personally thought that BTS were going to be exempted regarding how the Korean government were practically dancing on it and made us wait for about a decade to let us know if BTS were going to serve or not. And believe it or not, I wasn't even mad about it, because the time they made to make a decision about their case was for me a way for them to buy time. And during that time, I came to the conclusion that If they're not going to serve, just say it. We're not mad. At least I wasn't mad. I know it's actually something that is very important to the Korean culture and for a man in Korea. I completely understand that. Jin, independently from the government, decided to go and serve, just like his fellow members, and I completely respect that. But I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I am sad, and I grew to feel for armies who are feeling bad about it, because many of my faves already went to serve. I know that seeing a member missing from a group you like is painful. At the beginning I was like, oh my gosh, don't be dramatic, armies. But then I was like, yo, why is my heart sinking? And don't play the fake outrage. Like, let's be real. If you hear that your fave for some reason is going to be exempted, are you actually going to be upset? Are you? Let me know in the comments without being a hypocrite. And push that like button. And how about you? Tell me what pissed you off about K-pop 2022 down below in the comments. Okay guys, that is it for today's video, and I hope you liked it. If you want to share your feedback or share your thoughts about anything related to this video, you can write it down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't. Bye!